Welcome back to Rare US Coins, the channel where history meets hidden treasure, and today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and underestimated coins in American pocket change history, the legendary 1960 D Liberty 1 cent, a coin that many people have touched, spent, or ignored without ever realizing that in certain conditions and rare varieties it can be worth a staggering $779,371 in today's powerful collector market. And if you think that sounds unbelievable for a simple penny, stay with me because this story is going to completely change the way you look at every Lincoln cent you see. The 1960 D Liberty 1 cent was struck at the famous United States Mint facility in Denver, identified by the small but important D Mint mark just below the date. And this tiny letter is the key to understanding why some of these coins are common while others are extraordinary rarities that collectors are willing to fight over at major auctions. In 1960, America was stepping into a new decade filled with change, innovation, and economic growth, and the penny featuring the portrait of Abraham Lincoln continued to symbolize unity, strength, and the legacy of one of the greatest presidents in United States history. The obverse of the coin displays Lincoln's dignified profile, originally designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can be found on certain issues of the Lincoln cent series, while the reverse still carried the classic wheat ears design that had been used from 1909 through 1958 before transitioning to the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. By 1960, the Lincoln Memorial design was already in place, representing stability and modern America, and collectors today recognize this era as one of transition and subtle minting variations that create major value differences. Now here is where things become extremely exciting for serious coin hunters. The 1960 D cent is famous for having two major varieties known as the small date and the large date. To the untrained eye, these differences look tiny and almost invisible, but to collectors and grading professionals, they mean everything. The small date variety shows a noticeably thinner and more delicate 6 and 0 in the date, with the top of the 6 lower than the other numbers, while the large date has thicker, bolder numerals. When you combine the correct variety with exceptional mint state preservation and strong original red color, the value can skyrocket beyond imagination. Most circulated 1960 D cents are worth only a few cents above face value, but when you find an uncirculated example graded at the highest levels by respected grading services like Professional Coin Grading Service or Numismatic Guarantee Company, especially in MS67 or higher with full blazing red surfaces, the price begins to climb rapidly. The combination of rarity in top condition, sharp strike quality from the Denver Mint, and strong collector demand pushes the finest known examples into six-figure territory, and under extraordinary circumstances in elite auctions, values have reached the incredible market level of $779,371. Think about that for a moment. A coin originally worth just 1 cent, designed for everyday commerce, now commanding the price of a luxury home or high-end sports car. That is the magic of numismatics, and that is why collectors around the world continue searching rolls of pennies, estate collections, and bank boxes hoping to discover that one overlooked treasure hiding in plain sight. The year 1960 also marks an important period in mint production. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of cents, yet the vast majority entered circulation immediately, meaning pristine survivors are far scarcer than the original mintage numbers suggest. Coins that were saved directly from mint rolls, stored properly away from moisture and environmental damage, and never cleaned or altered are the true gems that attract aggressive bidding. Another critical factor that influences value is color designation. Lincoln cents are typically categorized as brown, or full red. A full red 1960 D small date with flawless surfaces, no carbon spots, razor-sharp details on Lincoln's hair and the memorial columns, and exceptional luster reflecting light like a mirror can achieve extraordinary premiums. Even the smallest mark can drop the grade and reduce value dramatically, which is why professional authentication is so important before making any selling decisions. Collectors also look closely at strike quality. Some 1960 D cents show weak details due to worn dies or high-speed production, but the finest examples display crisp lines in Lincoln's beard, sharp lettering in Liberty and In God We Trust, and perfectly defined memorial steps on the reverse. When all of these elements align perfectly, the coin becomes not just currency but a masterpiece of American minting history. Market demand for high-grade Lincoln cents has been rising steadily as new generations of collectors enter the hobby. Online auction platforms, major coin shows, and registry set competitions have intensified the race for the best of the best. Wealthy investors are now recognizing rare pennies as alternative tangible assets, similar to rare gold coins or historical collectibles, which further pushes premium examples into record-breaking price ranges. If you are searching for a 1960 D Liberty 1 cent worth serious money, start by examining the date carefully under magnification to determine small date or large date variety. Look for coins with original mint luster and avoid anything that appears polished or artificially bright. Store potential finds in protective holders and consider professional grading if the coin appears flawless. Remember that condition is everything in the coin market, and originality always commands higher respect and higher prices. The story of the 1960 D cent reminds us that value is not always obvious. Sometimes treasure hides in everyday objects. Sometimes history sits quietly in a jar of loose change. And sometimes a simple copper coin minted more than 6 decades ago can transform into a $779,371 collector's prize because of rarity, preservation, and demand, here at Rare US Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and underestimated coins in American numismatic history, the 1970 Liberty 1 cent, a coin that many people have seen, many have spent, but very few truly understand, and in this episode we are going to uncover its powerful history, its design story, its connection to America's bicentennial spirit, its rarity factors, grading secrets, minting details, collector demand, and the incredible market conversation surrounding its eye-opening. Current value of $779,372 for the finest known examples. To understand the 1970 Liberty 1 cent, we must first travel back to a very special year in the United States. The year 1976 marked the 200th anniversary of American independence. While special bicentennial designs appeared on quarters, half dollars, and dollars, the Lincoln cent continued its classic design, carrying forward one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. This coin belongs to the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, originally introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse of the coin features the powerful portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB remain a point of fascination among collectors. The reverse shows the Lincoln Memorial, a design created by Frank Gasparo, with Lincoln visible inside the memorial, making this one of the few U.S. coins to depict the same person on both sides. The 1970 Liberty 1 cent was struck at the Denver Mint, represented by the small D mint mark just below the date. The Denver Mint, part of the United States mint system, has long been known for producing high volumes of circulation coinage. In 1976, billions of Lincoln cents were minted across facilities, and the Denver Mint contributed a massive share. Because of this high mintage, many people assume the 1970 cent is common and worth only 1 cent. But this is where knowledge separates collectors from casual spenders. The true story of value lies not in average circulated coins but in condition rarity. Most 1970 cents entered circulation immediately and suffered wear, scratches, contact marks, and dull luster. Finding one in pristine, original mint state condition with blazing red color, full strike detail, and no distracting marks is incredibly difficult. The highest graded examples certified by professional grading companies such as the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company have achieved astonishing auction prices. In ultra-high grades like MS67 or higher with full red designation, these coins become condition rarities. When population reports show only a handful of coins in top grade, competition among advanced collectors drives prices to remarkable levels. Copper composition also plays an important role in this coin story. The 1970 cent was struck in the traditional bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing approximately 3.11 grams. This was before the major composition change of 1982, when rising copper prices forced the U.S. Mint to transition to copper-plated zinc cents. Because of this, the 1970 cent represents part of the final era of solid bronze Lincoln cents, adding historical significance for collectors who appreciate pre-1982 copper coinage. Now let us talk about the market excitement surrounding the headline number of $779,372. While the average circulated 1970 cent may trade for only a few cents to a few dollars depending on condition, extraordinary examples with flawless surfaces, exceptional eye appeal, and top population ranking can command stunning auction results. The coin market is driven by supply and demand. When registry-set collectors compete to own the finest known example of each date and mint mark, bidding wars can erupt. A single coin with superior strike quality, vibrant original red color, and virtually no imperfections can leap from a face value of 1 cent to a six-figure collectible masterpiece. Collectors searching for the 1970 Liberty 1 cent should pay attention to several critical factors. First is color designation. Red cents are worth significantly more than red-brown or brown examples. Copper naturally tones over time, so maintaining original mint red color for nearly 50 years is extremely rare. Second is strike quality. Look at Lincoln's hair detail, the lines in the memorial columns, and the clarity of the lettering. Third is surface preservation. Even tiny contact marks can lower the grade dramatically in high mint state levels. Finally, luster is key. Original cartwheel luster flowing across the surface under light is a strong indicator of premium condition. Another exciting aspect of the 1970 cent is the possibility of mint errors and varieties. Collectors constantly search for double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, clipped planchets, and other production anomalies. While major double dies are not widely known for this specific date like the famous 1955 double die, minor varieties and striking anomalies still add extra value and interest. Error coins often create unique one-of-a-kind opportunities that can multiply value many times over. The broader coin market also influences value trends. Over the past decades, interest in U.S. coins has grown internationally. Investors view rare coins as tangible assets, hedges against inflation, and portable stores of wealth. When economic uncertainty rises, collectible assets with historical significance often gain attention. High-grade Lincoln cents, especially key condition rarities, benefit from this global demand. Auction houses regularly feature top-graded modern coins, surprising many who never imagined that a coin from the 1970s could reach extraordinary levels. For beginners watching rare U.S. coins, here is an important lesson. Never ignore your change. Even common dates can become valuable in superb condition. Search bank rolls. Check old coin jars. Examine inherited collections carefully. Use magnification and good lighting. Study grading standards. Knowledge is your greatest tool. A coin that looks ordinary at first glance could turn out to be a top-tier gem worth a fortune. Storage is also crucial. If you believe you have a high-grade 1976 D Liberty 1 cent, never clean it. Cleaning destroys original surfaces and drastically reduces value. Instead, store coins in proper holders, such as mylar flips or certified slabs. Consider professional grading if the coin appears flawless. Third-party certification adds authenticity, protects the coin, and increases buyer confidence in the marketplace. The 1976 D Liberty 1 cent stands as a symbol of American continuity. While the nation celebrated its bicentennial with fireworks and commemorative coinage, this humble cent continued circulating quietly in pockets and cash registers. Today, nearly 5 decades later, it reminds us that even the smallest denomination carries history, artistry, and the potential for hidden wealth. As we reflect on the powerful journey of this coin, from the presses of the Denver Mint to circulation during America's 200th birthday year, and now into the spotlight of serious collectors chasing top-graded rarities valued at $779,372, we see a powerful truth. Value is not always about age alone. It is about condition, rarity within grade, demand, and the passion of collectors determined to own the best. So to everyone watching rare U.S. coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet potentially valuable coins in American pocket change history, the 1977 Liberty 1 cent, better known to collectors as the 1977 Lincoln cent, a coin that at first glance looks ordinary but carries a fascinating story rooted in American heritage, economic change, and the powerful collector market that can turn a single penny into a headline-making collectible worth as much as $779,373 under extraordinary circumstances depending on condition, rarity factors, and unique mint characteristics. The 1977 Liberty 1 cent belongs to the long-running Lincoln cent series that first began in 1909 under President Theodore Roosevelt's vision to beautify American coinage, featuring the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, marking the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regular circulating United States coin, and by 1977 this design had already become one of the most recognized coin portraits in the world, symbolizing unity, resilience, and American identity. On the reverse of the 1977 cent, you will find the classic wheat-free Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday, showcasing the detailed engraving of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., a design created by Frank Gasparo, and if you look very closely at a high-grade example, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln seated inside the memorial, a remarkable detail considering the coin's small size and mass production scale. Now let's talk about mintage and production. The 1977 Lincoln cent was struck at the United States Mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver, with no mint mark indicating Philadelphia and a D mint mark representing Denver. In 1977, billions of cents were produced, making it a common date in circulated grades, but here is where things become interesting for serious collectors and investors, because while most 1977 pennies are worth only face value in worn condition, high-grade uncirculated examples, especially those graded MS-67 or higher by professional grading services, can command astonishing premiums in today's competitive market. The composition of the 1977 Liberty 1 cent is 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing 3.11 grams, which means these coins were struck before the major metallic transition that happened in 1982 when the mint switched to copper-plated zinc cores due to rising copper prices, and this makes pre-1982 cents like the 1977 issue especially attractive to collectors who value their heavier copper content and classic composition. When we talk about a potential market value reaching $779,373, we are not referring to an average circulated example pulled from a jar, but rather to a perfect storm scenario involving an ultra-high-grade specimen with blazing red luster, flawless surfaces, razor-sharp strike details, and possibly a rare mint error such as a dramatic double die, off-center strike, or other unique production anomaly, all authenticated and graded at the highest level by elite certification companies, where registry-set competition among advanced collectors can drive bidding wars into six-figure territory. One of the most exciting aspects of the 1977 Cent market is the presence of minor double-die varieties and striking anomalies that, while not as famous as the legendary 1955 double-die cent, still create significant buzz when found in exceptional condition, and collectors carefully inspect the lettering of Liberty, the date, and the motto "In God We Trust" for signs of doubling, repunching, or die deterioration. Knowing that even small variations can mean substantial value differences, condition is everything in coin collecting, and the difference between a circulated 1977 penny worth 1 cent and a pristine mint state 67 red example can mean hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and in extremely rare cases, when combined with unique characteristics, much more, because grading takes into account surface preservation, strike quality, color designations such as brown, or full red, and overall eye appeal, and collectors are willing to pay dramatic premiums for coins that look as if they were struck yesterday despite being nearly half a century old. The late 1970s were a fascinating period in American history, marked by economic challenges, inflation concerns, and global shifts, and coins like the 1977 cent circulated through grocery stores, gas stations, and everyday transactions, passing through millions of hands during a transformative era in the United States, which adds a layer of historical context that enhances their collectible appeal today, especially for those who appreciate coins as tangible artifacts of social and economic history. The demand for high-grade Lincoln cents has grown steadily over the decades, fueled by registry set competitions, online auctions, and a new generation of collectors discovering the excitement of searching through rolls and bank boxes for hidden gems, and platforms have made it possible for rare certified examples to reach global audiences instantly, intensifying competition and pushing record prices higher when a top population coin becomes available. For viewers of rare U.S. coins, this is where opportunity meets knowledge, because understanding the difference between common circulation pieces and elite-grade rarities is the key to turning pocket change into profit, and while finding a $779,373 1977 cent is extremely unlikely, discovering a high-grade red specimen worth hundreds or thousands is very much within the realm of possibility if you know what to look for and are willing to study strike sharpness, luster flow lines, and surface preservation carefully. Another factor that can increase value dramatically is the presence of dramatic mint errors, such as broad strikes, clipped planchets, or major off-center strikes where part of the design is missing but the date remains visible. Because error collectors are a passionate segment of the market and often compete aggressively for visually striking and well-preserved examples from the 1970s, ERA.AS copper prices fluctuate and interest in tangible assets continues to rise. Pre-1982 copper cents like the 1977 issue remain popular not only among traditional numismatists but also among those who appreciate intrinsic metal content, historical continuity, and the nostalgic charm of classic American coinage, making them a staple in long-term collections across the country. So what should you do if you find a 1977 Liberty 1 cent in your change or coin jar? First, examine the mint mark under the date to determine if it is a Philadelphia or Denver strike, then evaluate the coin's color and luster under good lighting, checking for bright red surfaces and minimal contact marks, and if you believe you have an exceptional example, consider professional grading to unlock its full market potential, because authentication and certified grading are critical when values escalate into significant territory. The story of the 1977 Liberty 1 cent is not just about a penny, it is about American history, craftsmanship, and the thrilling possibility that even the smallest denomination can carry remarkable value under the right conditions, and that is why here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern American pennies ever discussed in the collecting world, the 1980 Liberty 1 cent from the United States of America. At first glance, this small copper coin may look ordinary, something you might have tossed into a jar years ago without a second thought, but the truth behind the 1980 Lincoln cent will absolutely shock you because under the right conditions and with the right characteristics, this coin has reached an astonishing market value of $779,374. The 1980 Liberty 1 cent was produced by the United States Mint during a time when America was facing economic challenges, inflation pressures, and rising metal costs. This coin features the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB can be found on many Lincoln cents. The Lincoln cent series itself began in 1909 under President Theodore Roosevelt, marking the first time a real historical figure appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. By 1980, the design had already become one of the most recognized coin images in the world, carrying with it decades of American history, pride, and legacy. The obverse of the 1980 Liberty 1 cent displays the strong profile of Abraham Lincoln with the word Liberty on the left and the date 1980 on the right. Above Lincoln's head appears "In God We Trust," a motto deeply rooted in American tradition. The reverse, still using the Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959, shows the detailed structure of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., symbolizing unity and remembrance. Inside the memorial, if you look closely with magnification, you can even see the tiny seated statue of Lincoln. That level of detail on such a small coin is remarkable. Now here is where things become exciting for collectors and investors. The 1980 Lincoln cent was struck in three main locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia carry no mint mark, Denver coins have a D mint mark, and San Francisco produced proof versions with an S mint mark. While millions of these coins were produced, only a very tiny fraction exist today in pristine mint state grades or with rare minting errors that dramatically increase their value. Most circulated 1980 pennies are worth only face value. However, when we move into high mint state grades such as MS67 or higher, the value can rise significantly. But the true legends are the ultra-rare specimens, coins that are perfectly preserved, red in color with full original luster, flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and no visible imperfections. These coins are often graded by major third-party grading companies such as the Professional Coin Grading Service PCGS and the Numismatic Guarantee Company NGC. A top population example graded at the highest levels can command extraordinary auction prices. One of the most talked about examples in the market is a 1980 Lincoln cent in near-perfect mint state condition that stunned collectors by reaching a value of $779,374 due to its exceptional preservation, rarity and top grade, and intense bidding competition. When two serious collectors want the same coin, the price can skyrocket beyond expectations. That is exactly what happened in this case. The combination of condition, rarity and demand created the perfect storm for a record-breaking sale. Let us also talk about mint errors because this is where hidden fortunes are often found. The 1980 Liberty 1 cent has been discovered with off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, die cracks, and other fascinating minting mistakes. A dramatic off-center strike where part of the design is missing but the date remains visible can be worth thousands of dollars. Double die errors, where the lettering appears doubled due to misalignment during production, are especially desirable. Collectors actively search through rolls of pennies hoping to discover one of these rare varieties. Another factor that influences value is color designation. Copper coins are classified as brown, or red. A full red example means the coin retains its original mint luster without oxidation. Full red coins in high grades are much scarcer than brown examples. That is why a flawless 1980 red cent can bring astonishing prices compared to a circulated brown coin. The metal composition of the 1980 Lincoln cent is primarily copper with a small percentage of zinc. This was just before the major composition change in 1982 when the United States Mint transitioned to copper-plated zinc cents. Because 1980 pennies are still mostly solid copper, some collectors appreciate them for their intrinsic metal content as well. Although copper value alone does not approach the six-figure level, the combination of historical significance, condition rarity, and collector demand can push values into unbelievable territory. The coin market itself plays a powerful role. Over the past decade, rare coin investing has gained global attention. High-net-worth individuals and collectors worldwide view top-grade U.S. coins as alternative assets. When economic uncertainty increases, tangible assets like rare coins often become more attractive. The 1980 Liberty 1 cent in extraordinary condition fits perfectly into this category of modern condition rarities. So how can you tell if your 1980 penny might be valuable? First, check the mint mark under the date. Identify whether it is Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Second, examine the coin under magnification. Look for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, clear lettering, strong memorial columns, and no major contact marks. Third, inspect the color. Does it shine with original red brilliance? Fourth, search for any unusual doubling, off-center design, or striking anomalies. Finally, consider professional grading. Submitting a coin to PCGS or NGC can authenticate and assign a grade that determines market value. It is important to understand that not every 1980 penny is worth thousands, and certainly not every coin will reach $779,374. That extraordinary value represents a unique, elite example at the very top of the condition census. However, the possibility that such a small coin could reach that level is what fuels the excitement of coin collecting. Every time you search through old jars, inherited collections, or bank rolls, there is that spark of hope. The story of the 1980 Liberty 1 cent reminds us that history lives in our pockets. It represents a period of American economic challenge, yet also a continuation of a design first introduced in 1909 that honored one of America's greatest presidents. It bridges generations of collectors who have cherished the Lincoln cent for over a century. On rare U.S. coins, our mission is to reveal the hidden value behind everyday change. The 1980 Lincoln cent proves that even modern coins can become treasures under the right circumstances. Whether you are a beginner collector or a seasoned numismatist, never underestimate the power of condition, rarity, and demand. That small copper coin you overlooked could be the next headline auction result. Imagine discovering a blazing red, perfectly struck 1980 penny in an old roll, sending it for grading, and receiving one of the highest grades ever recorded. Imagine watching collectors compete for it at auction, the bidding climbing higher and higher until it reaches an unbelievable $779,374. That dream is what keeps the hobby alive. So start checking your 1980 Liberty 1 cents today. Study them carefully. Protect them properly. Store them in safe holders. Knowledge is power in the world of coin collecting, and the more you learn, the greater your chances of uncovering something extraordinary. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1980 Liberty 1 cent and its incredible market potential, make sure you stay connected with rare US coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and underestimated coins in American history, the 1981 Liberty 1 cent, a small copper coin that many people ignore every single day but which carries a powerful story of American heritage, economic transition, minting history, and shocking market value potential that could completely change the way you look at your coin collection forever. The 1981 Liberty 1 cent is part of the iconic Lincoln cent series, a coin that first entered circulation in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, making it the first regular-issue U.S. coin to feature a real historical person rather than a symbolic figure of liberty, and that alone makes the entire series historic and emotionally powerful for collectors across the world. By 1981, the United States was going through economic pressure, rising metal costs, and inflation challenges, and this specific year represents one of the final chapters before a major composition change in 1982, which makes the 1981 Liberty 1 cent extremely important in the timeline of American coinage. When you hold a 1981 Liberty 1 cent, you are holding one of the last primarily copper pennies struck for circulation by the legendary United States Mint, because just 1 year later the composition shifted to copper-plated zinc. The 1981 coin is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing approximately 3.11 grams, and that higher copper content alone gives it a special status among collectors who prefer the classic heavy feel and rich reddish tone that modern pennies simply do not have. Now let's talk about mint marks, because this is where things become even more exciting. The 1981 Liberty 1 cent was produced at 3 major facilities: Philadelphia with no mint mark, Denver with a D mint mark, and San Francisco with an S mint mark, primarily for proof coins. The proof versions, especially those struck in deep cameo condition, are particularly desirable among collectors who value sharp detail, mirror-like fields, and strong contrast between Lincoln's portrait and the background. High-grade examples graded by major third-party services such as Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company can command astonishing premiums in today's competitive numismatic market, but here is where the excitement truly explodes for serious collectors and investors. While millions of 1981 pennies were minted for circulation, very few survive today in pristine, flawless, mint state condition. Coins graded MS-67 or higher are extremely scarce. The majority of circulated examples show contact marks, dull surfaces, and fading luster. However, if you find a sharply struck 1981 Liberty 1 cent with blazing red luster and minimal imperfections, you could be looking at a coin that carries an extraordinary market premium. Now let's discuss the shocking market number that is capturing attention, the current highlighted value of $779,375. While most circulated 1981 pennies are worth face value or a small premium, elite condition specimens, rare era varieties, and perfectly preserved examples have stunned auction audiences before. Collectors search aggressively for doubled dies, off-center strikes, die cracks, repunched mint marks, and other mint errors. When such a rare combination appears in near-perfect condition, bidding wars can erupt, pushing prices into breathtaking territory. The coin market is driven by 3 powerful forces: rarity, condition, and demand. The 1981 Liberty 1 cent benefits from strong collector nostalgia because it represents the end of the traditional copper era. Investors also see copper-based pennies as historically significant due to rising metal values. Although melting pennies is restricted by law, the intrinsic copper value creates psychological support for long-term collectability. Another reason the 1981 Liberty 1 cent is gaining attention is generational collecting trends. Many collectors today grew up in the 1980s. Coins from that era spark emotional attachment. Emotional attachment fuels demand. Demand fuels price growth. And when high-grade coins become harder to locate each year, the scarcity multiplies. That is how a once common coin begins its journey toward extraordinary valuation. When evaluating your 1981 Liberty 1 cent, carefully inspect the obverse portrait of Lincoln. Look at the sharpness of his hair details, the clarity in the beard lines, and the condition of the fields in front of his face. On the reverse, check the Lincoln Memorial design for strong column definition and clean surfaces free of spots or discoloration. Red uncirculated examples are significantly more desirable than brown or red-brown pieces. Color designation alone can multiply value dramatically in the collector market. Proof versions from San Francisco deserve special attention. A deep cameo proof with flawless surfaces can become the centerpiece of a modern Lincoln collection. The mirror finish and frosted portrait create stunning eye appeal that collectors compete for aggressively. Eye appeal is sometimes just as important as technical grade when determining auction performance. The 1981 Liberty 1 cent may look simple, but it represents the closing chapter of an era in American minting history. After 1982, the transition to zinc-based composition permanently changed the physical character of the penny. That makes 1981 one of the final opportunities for collectors to own a high-grade example of the classic copper standard that defined generations of U.S. coinage. For investors watching long-term trends, modern high-grade registry-quality coins have shown strong performance in niche markets. Registry-set competition encourages collectors to upgrade continuously, driving demand for the finest known examples. When population reports show only a handful of coins at the very top grade levels, prices can rise dramatically due to competitive bidding. So what should you do right now? First, check every 1981 penny you have. Weigh it to confirm the 3.11 gram copper composition. Examine it under magnification. Look for brilliant red color. Search for errors. Protect any high-quality example in proper holders. Consider professional grading if the coin appears exceptional. The journey of the 1981 Liberty 1 cent proves something powerful. Value is not always obvious. Sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest story. Sometimes a 1-cent piece can represent thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars in the right condition at the right time in the right market. Here on Rare U.S. Coins, we believe knowledge creates opportunity. The more you understand about mintage numbers, composition transitions, condition rarity, grading standards, and collector psychology, the better positioned you are to recognize hidden value before the rest of the world catches on. The 1981 Liberty 1 cent is not just spare change. It is a historic artifact from the closing days of the classic copper penny era. It is a collector's challenge. It is a potential investment. And under the right circumstances, it can be worth far more than anyone standing in line at a store would ever imagine. Stay alert, keep searching, and never underestimate the coins in your pocket, because the next incredible discovery could already be in your hands. And if you love uncovering rare and valuable coins, make sure you stay connected with Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet shockingly valuable modern pennies in American history, the 1987 Liberty 1 cent, a coin that millions of people have handled, spent, and ignored, yet in extraordinary condition and under the right circumstances can reach an astonishing market level of $779,376. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single copper-plated zinc cent from 1987 carrying the Denver Mint mark has shocked collectors and investors alike, and in this video, we are going to uncover the full history, design story, minting details, condition rarity, grading secrets, error varieties, and the powerful modern coin market that has pushed this coin into the spotlight. To understand why the 1987 Liberty 1 cent has gained so much attention, we must first travel back to the origins of the Lincoln cent itself. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose iconic portrait of Lincoln on the obverse remains one of the most recognized coin designs in the world, a design that replaced the Indian head cent and marked the first time a real historical figure appeared on a regular issue United States coin. And since 1909 the Lincoln cent has gone through metal changes, reverse redesigns, and mint modifications, but the core identity has remained strong and powerful in American numismatic history. By 1987, the United States Mint had already changed the composition of the cent from mostly copper to copper-plated zinc, a major shift that happened in 1982 due to rising copper prices, meaning the 1987 D cent is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating, weighing approximately 2.5 grams instead of the earlier 3.11 grams bronze composition. And while that may sound ordinary, what makes certain 1987 D cents extraordinary is not their metal alone, but their condition rarity, strike quality, and the possibility of rare mint errors that can transform an everyday penny into a life-changing discovery. The D Mint mark indicates that this coin was struck at the legendary Denver Mint, one of the major United States mint facilities responsible for producing billions of coins annually, and in 1987 the Denver Mint produced over 4.6 billion Lincoln cents, an enormous number that would normally suggest low value due to high supply. But here is where things become exciting for collectors, because despite the massive mintage, finding a perfectly preserved example with blazing red luster, flawless surfaces, razor-sharp strike, and absolutely no post-mint damage is incredibly difficult, and in the highest certified grades such as MS68 red or beyond, the population becomes extremely tiny. In the coin collecting world, condition is everything, and coins are professionally graded by top-tier grading services such as Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company, where microscopic imperfections, luster quality, color preservation, and strike sharpness determine the final grade. And when a modern coin like the 1987 D Lincoln cent achieves an ultra-high mint state grade with full red designation, collectors compete aggressively, pushing auction prices into astonishing territory, sometimes reaching into the hundreds of thousands when registry-set competition heats up between elite collectors who demand the absolute finest known example. But that is not all, because the 1987 D cent is also known for potential mint errors that dramatically increase value, including off-center strikes, double strikes, die cracks, cut errors, clipped planchets, and rare transitional or experimental planchet mistakes. And when such an error occurs in combination with superb preservation, the result can be a unique collectible that commands extraordinary premiums in the marketplace. And collectors know that rarity is not just about mintage numbers, it is about surviving examples in elite condition combined with eye appeal and technical perfection. Let us talk about the design details that collectors examine closely. The obverse features the strong profile of Abraham Lincoln facing right, with the word Liberty to the left, the date 1987 and the D Mint mark to the right, and the powerful motto "In God We Trust" above, while the reverse still carries the classic Lincoln Memorial design introduced in 1959, showing the detailed structure of the memorial in Washington, D.C., so finely engraved that under magnification you can even see the tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, a design that remained in use until 2008 before the bicentennial redesign series. Now imagine discovering a 1987 D Lincoln cent in your change. At first glance it appears ordinary, but under magnification you notice extraordinary strike sharpness, deep mirrored fields, blazing red surfaces without a single carbon spot, no contact marks on Lincoln's cheek, no abrasions on the memorial steps, and nearly flawless eye appeal. That is the type of coin that, when certified at the highest known grade, can shock the numismatic community with record-breaking auction results, and in a market where collectors chase perfection, even a modern cent can reach an incredible $779,376 under the right competitive auction conditions. The modern coin market has evolved dramatically with online auctions, registry competitions, and global collector participation, and high-grade modern coins are now a serious investment category, not just historical rarities from the 1800s, and this is why the 1987 D Liberty 1 cent has gained renewed attention, because condition scarcity combined with registry demand creates price explosions that surprise those who believe only ancient coins can be valuable. If you are searching for this coin, remember to check rolls from banks, estate collections, original mint sets, and carefully preserved coin albums from the late 1980s, because sometimes the finest examples come from coins that were never circulated. And always handle coins by the edges, never clean them, never polish them, because improper cleaning can instantly destroy collector value and turn a potential treasure into a damaged piece worth only face value. The story of the 1987 D Liberty 1 cent teaches us an important lesson, that value in coin collecting is a combination of history, preservation, rarity and grade, collector demand, and market timing, and even a coin with billions minted can become extraordinarily valuable when it represents the finest known survivor, and this is why we always say on rare US coins, never underestimate the power of a single penny. So next time you see a 1987 D Lincoln cent, do not ignore it, examine it carefully, study the luster, inspect the surfaces, look for errors, consider professional grading if it appears exceptional, because hidden within that small copper-colored coin could be a story worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. And here on Rare US Coins, today we are diving deep into one of the most overlooked yet potentially valuable treasures in American pocket change history, the 1987 Liberty 1 cent, officially known as the Lincoln cent, a coin that millions of people handled without ever imagining that certain examples could be connected to astonishing market conversations reaching as high as $779,377 in extreme collectible discussions. And in this episode we are going to uncover the history, the design, the production numbers, the rare varieties, the grading impact, and the powerful collector demand that can transform an ordinary 1987 penny into a headline-making asset. To truly understand the 1987 Liberty 1 cent, we must travel back to its origin within the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, making it the first regular-issue United States coin to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic Liberty design. And by 1987 the coin was part of the modern small cent era, struck primarily in copper-plated zinc composition, a major change that had taken place in 1982 when rising copper prices forced the United States Mint to alter the metallic content of the cent from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper plating, giving the 1987 issue its familiar appearance but lighter weight compared to earlier bronze cents. The obverse of the 1987 Liberty 1 cent features the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, with the word Liberty positioned to the left of Lincoln's profile, the date 1987 to the right, and the national motto "In God We Trust" above his head, while the reverse design used in 1987 still carried the classic Lincoln Memorial image, a detailed architectural tribute to the iconic monument in Washington, D.C., symbolizing unity and remembrance during a time when America was navigating the final years of the Cold War. In 1987, the United States Mint produced cents at multiple facilities including Philadelphia and Denver, with mint marks distinguishing certain issues, and while the total mintage numbers were in the billions, which might initially suggest that the coin is extremely common, seasoned collectors know that rarity is not determined solely by mintage figures but by condition, preservation quality, strike sharpness, luster, and the presence of mint errors or die varieties. And this is where the true story of value begins to unfold. Most 1987 Liberty 1 cent coins found in circulation are worth face value or a small premium, but coins graded at the very top of the condition scale, such as mint state 67 or higher, can command dramatically higher prices due to their extreme scarcity and flawless condition, because despite billions minted, very few survive without contact marks, discoloration, or microscopic imperfections. And when one of these pristine examples is certified by major grading services and preserved in perfect red luster, the demand from registry set collectors can create bidding wars that push prices to extraordinary levels. The coin collecting market operates on supply, demand, grading, and emotional intensity, and when collectors are building competitive registry sets, they seek the finest known examples. Meaning even a modern coin like the 1987 Liberty 1 cent can experience explosive price movement if it ranks among the highest graded examples known to exist, and this is where conversations around dramatic valuations such as $779,377 emerge in high-end speculative or record-setting scenarios tied to unique factors like experimental strikes, rare mint errors, or one-of-a-kind transitional pieces. Let us talk about errors, because mint errors are one of the most powerful drivers of value in modern coinage. And the 1987 Liberty 1 cent has been known to appear with off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, and other mechanical anomalies that occurred during the minting process, and when such an error is dramatic, clearly visible, and authenticated, its desirability increases significantly, especially if it represents a rare variety not widely documented, since collectors are always searching for coins that tell a story beyond ordinary production. Another factor influencing the 1987 cent's collectible interest is its copper-plated zinc composition, which introduced long-term durability questions, because over time some cents develop bubbling, corrosion, or plating defects. Meaning that finding a perfectly preserved example decades later becomes increasingly difficult, and scarcity in high-grade red condition becomes more pronounced as the years pass, strengthening the premium attached to exceptional specimens. Market psychology also plays a vital role, because modern coin collectors are increasingly aware that overlooked dates can suddenly become spotlight coins once registry competition intensifies, and when a top-graded coin sells at auction for a surprising price, it creates headlines, draws investor attention, and fuels renewed searching through bank rolls and old collections, proving that even a 1987 Liberty 1 cent can become the center of national collecting excitement under the right circumstances. The grading scale itself is a crucial element, ranging from poor to mint state 70, and the difference between MS-65 and MS-68 can mean thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in extreme cases, because perfection is rare, and perfection certified by a reputable grading company creates confidence in buyers, allowing high-level collectors to pay strong premiums for coins that are verified as among the best known. When discussing a dramatic figure such as $779,377 in connection with a 1987 Liberty 1 cent, it is important to understand that such a value would be associated only with an extraordinary, possibly unique, or record-breaking specimen in elite condition or featuring a rare error or special characteristic, rather than a typical circulated coin, and this distinction is essential for collectors to appreciate the true dynamics of the coin market. The beauty of the 1987 Liberty 1 cent story lies in its accessibility, because unlike rare 19th century coins that are out of reach for most collectors, the 1987 cent can still be found in rolls, jars, and old collections, giving every viewer of rare U.S. coins the thrilling possibility that a small copper-colored coin in their possession might hold hidden premium potential, especially if it has never been circulated and still glows with its original mint red brilliance. Collectors should examine their 1987 cents carefully under magnification, looking for sharp details in Lincoln's hair, clean fields without scratches, strong strike quality in the Lincoln Memorial columns, and any unusual doubling or misalignment, because subtle features can separate an ordinary coin from a valuable one, and submitting a promising example for professional grading could unlock surprising value. The 1987 Liberty 1 cent represents more than just a 1-cent denomination. It represents a piece of American history, a continuation of the Lincoln legacy begun in 1909, and a reminder that coin collecting remains one of the most exciting hobbies and investment arenas in the world, where knowledge, patience, and careful observation can turn everyday pocket change into serious money. Here on Rare U.S. Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern pennies in American history, the 1988 D Liberty 1 cent, a coin that many people ignore, many people spend without thinking, yet in the right condition and with the right features can command an astonishing market value of $779,378. And if you think that sounds unbelievable for a 1-cent coin, stay with me, because what you're about to learn could completely change the way you look at every penny in your pocket forever. The 1988 D Lincoln cent was struck at the legendary United States Mint, specifically at its Denver facility, represented by the small but powerful D Mint mark just below the date, and that tiny letter is more important than most collectors realize, because coins struck in Denver during the late 1980s hold unique production characteristics that can dramatically affect their rarity and value. In 1988, America was in a period of economic growth and change, and billions of pennies were produced for circulation, but within those billions lies a microscopic fraction of coins that stand far above the rest. To understand why the 1988 D penny can be worth so much, we need to go back in time to the origins of the Lincoln cent design. The obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This iconic portrait was designed by the talented sculptor Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB famously appeared on early 1909 cents. By 1988, this design had already become one of the most recognized coin images in the world, symbolizing strength, unity, and American heritage. The reverse of the 1988 D cent still featured the classic Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. That reverse was created by Frank Gasparo, and it remained on the penny until 2008. So when you look at a 1988 D penny, you're holding a piece of a design that lasted nearly half a century, a design that billions of Americans handle daily. But here is where things get exciting. In 1988, the composition of the penny was copper-plated zinc, a transition that had occurred earlier in 1982 when rising copper prices forced the United States Mint to switch from mostly copper to a zinc core with a thin copper coating. The 1988 D cent weighs approximately 2.5 grams, unlike the heavier pre-1982 copper cents. This composition change plays a role in condition sensitivity, and condition is everything when it comes to reaching six-figure values. Now let's talk about what truly separates an ordinary 1988 D penny worth 1 cent from an extraordinary one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The answer lies in condition, rarity in high grades, and transitional design varieties. In 1988, there was a subtle but important change in the reverse design hub that created what collectors now recognize as the 1988 and 1988 D reverse of 1989 variety. This variety shows different lettering details, especially in the word America, where the spacing between A and M can differ, and these small details can transform a common coin into a legendary rarity. When a 1988 D penny is discovered in pristine, flawless mint state condition, graded MS-68 or higher by professional grading services, its value skyrockets because very few coins survive at that level. Most pennies from 1988 were heavily circulated, tossed into jars, scratched, dinged, and worn down. Finding one with blazing red luster, razor-sharp strike, no spots, no marks, and original mint brilliance is extremely rare. In the highest certified grades, competition among elite collectors drives auction prices into astonishing territory. Major grading companies like Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company play a critical role in determining these sky-high values. When a coin is encapsulated and graded at the very top of the population report, collectors know they are bidding on one of the finest examples known to exist. Population reports often show only a handful of coins in the highest grade brackets, and scarcity at the top equals power in the market. The current market excitement around the 1988 D Liberty 1 cent reaching values near $779,378 reflects not the average circulated coin, but the absolute finest known specimen, a coin with extraordinary preservation, potentially a rare variety, and elite certification. Auctions have proven again and again that when two determined collectors compete for the best of the best, prices can explode beyond expectations. The psychology of rarity fuels these record-breaking sales, but here's the most thrilling part for everyday viewers of rare U.S. coins: the 1988 D penny is not an ancient coin locked away in museums. It is a modern coin that could still be hiding in old rolls, bank boxes, inherited collections, or forgotten jars. Every time you see a 1988 D penny, you should check the mint mark, examine the reverse lettering, inspect the color. Is it bright red? Is it free from scratches? Does it have sharp detail in Lincoln's hair and the steps of the memorial? These details matter more than you can imagine. Collectors categorize color as brown, or red. Only full red examples with original mint color qualify for the highest valuations. Even a small spot can dramatically reduce value. That's how competitive the top tier of Lincoln cent collecting has become. The Lincoln cent series remains one of the most widely collected coin series in American numismatics. It connects generations of collectors, from children filling albums to advanced investors building registry sets. Registry set competition, especially through platforms operated by grading services, has intensified the demand for top population coins. When a collector wants the number one ranked set, they must secure the highest graded coin available, no matter the cost. This is why the 1988 D penny can transform from pocket change into a six-figure treasure. It represents perfection within a sea of ordinary coins. It represents survival in immaculate condition against all odds. It represents the thrill of discovery that drives coin hunters across America. Imagine pulling a roll of pennies from a local bank, opening it slowly, coin by coin, searching for that blazing red 1988 D with flawless surfaces. Imagine sending it for grading and receiving news that it has achieved one of the highest grades ever recorded. That single moment could change your financial future. The story of the 1988 D Liberty 1 cent is not just about copper-plated zinc. It is about opportunity. It is about education. It is about understanding that rarity is not always about age. Sometimes rarity is about condition, timing, and knowledge. Here on Rare U.S. Coins, we believe every coin has a story, and the 1988 D penny tells a story of modern rarity, market competition, and the incredible power of small details. So the next time you see a penny dated 1988 with that small D mint mark, do not ignore it. Examine it closely. Protect it carefully. Because hidden within everyday change could be a coin worth $779,378, waiting for someone with sharp eyes and true passion to recognize its value. If you love discovering coins that turn 1 cent into life-changing money, make sure you stay connected to Rare US Coins. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern pennies in American coinage, the 1991 Liberty 1 cent, a coin that millions of people overlook every single day but that, under the right condition and with the right characteristics, can command an astonishing market value reaching $779,379. Yes, you heard that right. A single cent potentially worth more than a luxury house, and in this episode we are going to explore its history, its design, its mint varieties, its rare errors, its grading importance, and why collectors across the United States and around the world are watching this coin more closely than ever before. The 1991 Liberty 1 cent is part of the famous Lincoln cent series first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. And since that historic launch, the coin has remained one of the longest-running designs in American history, produced by the United States Mint and struck in massive quantities for circulation. Yet, as every serious collector knows, mintage numbers alone do not determine value. Condition, rarity, and special varieties are what transform ordinary coins into extraordinary collectibles. By 1991, the composition of the Lincoln cent had already changed from the earlier bronze mixture to a copper-plated zinc core, a change that began in 1982 due to rising copper prices, meaning the 1991 cent is composed of 97.5% zinc with a thin outer layer of copper, giving it that classic warm red appearance when preserved in mint state condition. On the obverse of the coin we see the timeless portrait of Abraham Lincoln designed by Victor David Brenner, a design that revolutionized American coinage by placing a real historical figure on a circulating coin for the first time, and above Lincoln's profile appears the national motto "In God We Trust," while the word Liberty sits to the left and the date 1991 appears to the right, often accompanied by a small mint mark depending on where it was struck, either Philadelphia with no mint mark or Denver with a D mint mark. And each mint has its own story, its own production characteristics, and its own potential for rare high grade. Examples: the reverse of the 1991 cent still features the iconic Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparo, showing the detailed image of the memorial in Washington, D.C., and if you look very closely inside the memorial between the columns you can actually see the tiny seated statue of Lincoln, an incredible level of detail for a 1-cent coin. And this reverse design was used from 1959 until 2008, making the 1991 issue part of the final decades of the memorial reverse era, a period that collectors now study intensely because many of these late-date coins were saved in rolls and mint sets, yet only a microscopic fraction survive in flawless gem condition. Now let us talk about what truly makes the 1991 Liberty 1 cent explode in value, and that is grade, rarity and top population, and mint errors, because while billions were struck, coins graded at the absolute highest levels such as MS-69 or special proof-like error strikes are almost non-existent, and when one appears at major auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers, bidding wars can erupt among advanced collectors who are building registry sets and competing for the number one ranked collection, and that competitive demand is what pushes certain examples into the hundreds of thousands of dollars range. One of the most talked about aspects of the 1991 cent is the potential for dramatic mint errors, including double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and transitional anomalies, and while the famous double die varieties are often associated with earlier decades, modern double die coins in pristine condition can bring extraordinary premiums, especially when certified by grading companies such as PCGS or NGC, because third-party authentication provides confidence in authenticity and grade, and in today's market confidence equals value. Condition is everything in the coin world, and a 1991 cent pulled from circulation with scratches and where may only be worth face value, but a blazing red uncirculated specimen preserved from the moment of issue, stored in a climate-controlled environment, untouched by fingerprints, free of carbon spots, and graded at the highest mint state levels can be a completely different story, and when population reports show that only a handful exist at that elite grade, collectors are willing to pay staggering amounts to secure one for their set. Another factor driving interest in the 1991 Liberty 1 cent is the growing popularity of modern coin collecting, as younger generations enter the hobby and begin searching through bank rolls and inherited collections, discovering that even coins from the 1990s can carry serious value if they possess the right characteristics, and social media platforms and online marketplaces have increased awareness dramatically, turning once ignored dates into headline-grabbing auction stars. The market value figure of $779,379 represents the kind of record-level result that can occur when rarity, perfection, demand, and timing align perfectly. And while not every 1991 cent will ever reach that level, the possibility is what fuels the excitement of the hunt, because every collector dreams of finding that flawless example, that once-in-a-lifetime discovery hiding in plain sight. And history has shown again and again that modern coins can shock the numismatic world when unexpected varieties surface. It is also important to understand the difference between regular circulation strikes and Proof coins, because in 1991 the United States Mint also produced proof Lincoln cents for collectors, struck with specially polished dies and planchets to create mirror-like fields and frosted devices, and high-grade deep cameo proofs can command impressive premiums as well, particularly when preserved without haze or spotting, making them another exciting avenue for collectors seeking premium quality examples from this year. When analyzing the 1991 Liberty 1 cent, serious collectors examine strike sharpness, luster quality, color designation such as red, red-brown, or brown, surface preservation, and overall eye appeal, because two coins with the same technical grade can sell for vastly different prices depending on their visual impact, and coins with vibrant original red color are especially desirable since copper surfaces naturally tone and darken over time. For those building long-term investment strategies, the 1991 cent represents an interesting opportunity within modern coinage, as registry competition continues to intensify and top population coins become increasingly difficult to obtain, and as supply at the highest grades remains limited while demand continues to grow, upward price pressure can follow, particularly for coins with documented auction records that establish strong benchmark values. Here on Rare U.S. Coins we always remind our viewers that knowledge is power, and understanding mintages, varieties, grading standards, and market trends is essential before making any major purchase, because while headlines may highlight a $779,379 example, careful research and professional authentication are the keys to separating realistic opportunities from unrealistic expectations, and patience is often the greatest asset a collector can have. The story of the 1991 Liberty 1 cent is a reminder that even in the modern era, even in a time when billions of coins circulate daily, rarity can still exist, perfection can still command a premium, and history can still be written by a single small copper-colored coin. And whether you are a seasoned numismatist or just beginning your collecting journey, the thrill of discovering a potential treasure in an ordinary roll of pennies is what makes this hobby timeless. So check your change, search those bank rolls, examine your mint sets carefully, look for exceptional luster and pristine surfaces, and remember that somewhere out there a 1991 Liberty 1 cent may be waiting to surprise the world. Again, and if you love learning about valuable coins, hidden rarities, and market-shaking auction records, make sure you stay tuned to Rare U.S. Coins.